Tonight you're going to eat something cooked. Maybe it's pasta, maybe it's rice, maybe it's just toast. You won't think about it. You never do. But the real answer to why you can do this at all is far stranger than you think. Your body runs on cooked food, not just prefers it, runs on it. Take it away completely, and your body starts to fail in ways scientists didn't fully understand until recently. So what happens if you rewind the clock? What if your ancestors never discovered fire? What if the meal in front of you tonight simply never became possible? To answer that, you have to go back. Not a few centuries, not even a few thousand years. You have to go back nearly 2 million years to a moment in East Africa that quietly rewired what it means to be human. Before that moment, your ancestors ate the way every other primate on Earth still eats. Raw, tough, fibrous. Imagine trying to survive on raw meat, raw roots, raw leaves, all day, every day. Chimpanzees do this, and it costs them enormously. Wild chimpanzees spend more than 6 hours a day just chewing. 6 hours, every single day. Their jaws are built like machines because they have to be. Their guts are long and specialized because raw food is hard to break down. Now look at your own jaw. Small, weak by comparison. Look at your teeth. Flat, blunt, nothing like the crushing molars of a gorilla. Look at your gut. Short, efficient. None of this makes sense for an animal eating raw food in the wild. It only makes sense for an animal that changed its food instead of changing its body. That's the theory proposed by primatologist Richard Wrangham, and it's known as the cooking hypothesis. Wrangham argued that cooking didn't just make food taste better. It transformed human evolution itself. Heat breaks down tough plant fibers and denatures proteins before they ever reach your stomach. In other words, cooking is a kind of external digestion. Your ancestors outsourced part of their digestive work to fire, and the effect on the body was enormous. Harvard researcher Rachel Carmody ran an experiment that measured exactly how much energy mice absorbed from raw meat versus cooked meat and from raw versus cooked starches. The results were stark. Cooked food delivered dramatically more usable calories from the same amount of food, not because cooking adds calories, because cooking unlocks calories that were already there but unreachable. Think about what that means. 2 identical meals, same weight, same ingredients. One raw, one cooked. Your body gets meaningfully less energy from the raw one, no matter how much you chew. So why does that matter for evolution? Because your brain is expensive. Absurdly expensive. It makes up about 2% of your body weight, but burns roughly 20% of your resting energy. No other primate spends anywhere near that much fuel on its brain. Something had to pay for it. Anthropologists Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler proposed an answer known as the expensive tissue hypothesis. As the human gut shrank, freeing up energy, that saved energy could be redirected somewhere else, somewhere hungrier. The brain. A smaller gut and a bigger brain, trading resources back and forth like a budget being reallocated. But a smaller gut only works if the incoming food is easier to digest. Otherwise, you starve. Cooking was the missing piece. It made a smaller gut survivable. It made a bigger brain affordable. Fire didn't just feed your ancestors. It financed the most expensive organ evolution has ever produced. Now picture the alternative. Picture the version of humanity that never controlled fire. Without cooking, your gut would need to stay long and your jaw would need to stay powerful, just to extract enough energy from raw plants and meat. Hours of your day would disappear into chewing, the same way they do for a chimpanzee. There would be no coffee break, no quick meal between meetings, because there would be no quick meals. Eating would be the job. And the brain? It likely never crosses the threshold it did. Without the caloric surplus cooking provided, there's no spare energy budget for a brain that burns fuel the way yours does. Language, complex tools, planning for a future that hasn't happened yet, all of it may depend on a metabolic advantage that started with something as simple as heat touching food. Here's where it gets stranger. Cooking didn't just change your biology, it changed your society. Once early, humans controlled fire. Meals stopped being something you grabbed and ate alone, on the move, the way a chimpanzee does. Cooking takes time. Food has to be gathered, prepared, watched over a flame. That created a pause in the day, a shared moment. Wrangham has argued that this pause is where the modern concept of the meal was born. Sitting down together, waiting for food, talking while it cooks. That single habit, repeated nightly for hundreds of thousands of years, may have shaped the earliest human social bonds, the earliest divisions of labor, even the earliest version of a family unit gathering in one place at a predictable time. Without cooking, would that pause ever exist? Would you and the people you love have any reason to sit around a table at all? There's a darker side to this story too. Raw food isn't just harder to digest, it's more dangerous. It carries more parasites, more bacteria, more of the microscopic threats that made early life brutally short. Heat kills most of that. Every time your ancestors cooked a meal, they weren't just gaining calories, they were quietly reducing the odds of dying from what they ate. Over enough generations, that adds up to a very different survival curve for the whole species. So somewhere around 1.8 million years ago, give or take, in the fossil record of Homo erectus, the skeleton starts to shift. Smaller teeth, smaller gut, bigger brain case. Wrangham points to this exact window as the moment cooking likely became routine, not occasional. Not every researcher agrees on the precise date. Fire evidence is notoriously hard to preserve that far back, but the body itself tells a story that's hard to explain any other way. Now, bring it back to tonight, back to whatever you're about to eat. You're not just satisfying hunger, you're running a 2-million-year-old biological shortcut. Every plate of cooked food is a small transaction with your ancestors' fire, cashing in the same caloric advantage that once financed your ability to think, plan, and wonder why any of this matters in the first place. If that fire had never been controlled, there's a real chance the animal reading these words right now wouldn't be capable of reading at all. No spare brain energy, no spare time. Just 6 hours of chewing every single day for the rest of a much shorter life. So the next time a meal is sitting in front of you, notice the steam coming off it. That's not just heat escaping. That's the exact same physical process that once rewired an entire species from the inside out. You already ate something cooked today, you just never thought about what it actually costed your ancestors to make that possible.